Hello grade 7 students, this is the last video in our syllabus for the fourth quarter on Japan. The second part that we have this quarter after the Roman Empire, after the characters that we covered, Hannibal and Julius Caesar, we have Japan, okay? We will start right now. Please bring your practice book and start with me. Before we start, let's get to know some information about Japan. Okay, here is a map of the Japanese country. Okay, as we see, Japan is in Eastern Asia, okay, in the eastern part of Asia. It's an island chain, okay, a number of islands or group of islands between the North Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Japan, east of the Korean Peninsula. We have the 1st or the 11th of February is a National Foundation Day for them. Here is the flag, and the capital city, of course, is Tokyo. The climate of Japan, it varies from tropical in the south to cool temperate in north. Winters are cold with heavy snowfall in the mountains in the north. Summers are long, hot and sunny. Fertile soil, warm temperatures and plenty of rain mean that Japan is a country rich in vegetation, as can be seen here in this bamboo forest. So we have a rich, good land, fertile soil. Because we are talking about islands, so the main diet will be the seafood. The Japanese people enjoy the second highest life longevity in the world. Their healthy diet, which contains a lot of fish, is often held up as one of the reasons that Japanese people enjoy such long life. And their country or the government is a constitutional monarchy. We have many mountains as well as undersea volcanoes. Okay, so the geography is somehow a hard geography with kind of hard circumstances or tough circumstances, undersea volcanoes, islands, some earthquakes happen all over the year. So this is Japan. Okay, let's now open the practice on Japan. We will take section 1 and section 2 today. Okay, open page 157. 157. We have one character in Japan. His name is Prince Shotoko. Prince Shotoko. The 4 words are clans, Shinto, Prince Shotoko, and regent. Okay, let's start in the first paragraph. Okay, we now know some information about Japan in general. Let's start now the geography and the history of Japan. The islands of Japan are the tops of undersea mountains and volcanoes. Because it's difficult to live and farm on mountain slopes, most Japanese people have always lived in the few flat areas along the coasts. Okay? Living by the water, living by coastal areas, we are talking about undersea mountains and volcanoes. The first question, which or what landforms make up most of Japan's islands, undersea mountains and volcanoes? The nearness of the sea means that seafood has been a key part of the Japanese diet for thousands of years. Isolation has contributed to a distinctive Japanese culture. Although the Japanese have been influenced by nearby Korea and China. So the cultures or the cultural borrowing here of Japan from China and Korea. Okay, here we have the effect of the Korean and Chinese on the Japanese culture. The society, the early society. Early Japan was a home to two different cultures, neither of which had much, if any, contact with the rest of Asia. The Aino, with a look of and language distinct from the rest of Asia, were driven by conflict to the northern island of Hokkaido. Over time, the Aino culture almost disappeared. This was the first culture or the first people, and this culture over time didn't leave any trace or any thing for it. The people living to the south of the Aino eventually became the Japanese. They lived mostly in small farm villages, clans, or extended families. Okay, how they lived? Okay, how the early people lived in small farm villages. They are the clans. Clans. Okay, we highlight this word as it is highlighted above here. The Japanese practiced religious rituals that became Shinto. So the second or another word here is Shinto. Shinto is a kind of religion, okay, an early religion for the Japanese. Some kind of religious rituals, okay, they perform. Traditional religion of Japan. According to this religion or tradition, everything in nature has a spirit, okay, or kami. Some clans became so powerful as they took over much of Japan. The Yamato rulers were the first clan to call themselves emperors of Japan. And here we have the question: what family groups controlled life in early Japanese villages? The Yamato rulers. Here is the answer. Okay? We are focusing here on the geography of Japan. If you need to summarize the section in your way, the geography of Japan, okay? The early people, how they lived, what is the meaning of the word clan, and the traditional or the early tradition, the religious rituals, which was called Shinto. The belief that everything in nature has kami or spirit. Okay, and now let's go to the culture of the Japanese. By the mid-500s, Japanese rulers sent emissaries to Korea and China, groups of people to learn about their cultures. Chinese culture was very influential in Japan. With no written language of their own, the Japanese used the Chinese characters to spell out Japanese sounds and words. Chinese was actually Japan's official language from about 500 to about 1100. So as you see here, the Chinese has a great influence on the Japanese. Even their language, the Chinese language, was their official language in this time. From 500 to 1100, the official language was actually the Chinese one. Okay, here we get to know the character. So the question here, for about how many centuries were Chinese the official language of Japan? We calculated, okay, from 500 to 1100, it's like, yes, 600 years, okay? About 600 years. Here we get to know the character. Write what you know about Prince Shitoko, okay? Prince Shitoko, who served as regent for his aunt, the Empress, was a major proponent of Chinese culture. Shitoko had advisors introduce the Chinese philosophy of Confucianism to Japan. He also encouraged the spread of Buddhism. Okay, this man was Japanese, but he has an aunt. Okay, his aunt was Chinese, and he has this Chinese effect on Japan. he actually helped in the spread of Buddhism, okay, in Japan. Shotoko's attempt to bring a more absolute Chinese style of rule to Japan didn't fare as well. Clan leaders opposed him. Why? Why the clan leaders did not want a Chinese style rule? Because they were afraid to give up their power and fought against Shotoko's ideas. As a result, the emperors gained little real power. The question here: underline the sentence that explains why the clan leaders didn't want a Chinese style rule. They were afraid to give up their power and fought against Shotoko's ideas. Okay, now we finished the first section in Japan. The 4 important words: clans, extended families, small group villages, Prince Shotoko, who is he, regent, and Shinto, the early or the traditional religion of early Japan. Your homework for the first section is to answer page 159, and I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, we're going now to section 2. Okay, in section 2 we will just take one word, which is the word Zen. Z-E-N. Z-E-N. Okay? What is Zen? Okay? Your homework also to read this section and to try to understand what is Zen. Okay. Zen, or Z-E-N, is a form of Buddhism. Okay, when the Buddhism started to spread in Japan, another form of Buddhism started to appear. This form of Buddhism involving quite thoughtful meditation is called Zen. Okay, so we will now highlight. Okay, this only word in this section. What is Zen? And let's go to read the paragraph of it. And you just need to read about it and to know the meaning of this word. Okay, as we said before, that the culture in Japan was influenced by the Chinese culture and Korean culture. Even Prince Shotoko was one of the regents or one of the leaders who came to spread the Buddhism. But when the Buddhism started to appear in Japan, another form started to appear, the Zen, or Z-E-N. Common Japanese people had no time for the long, elaborate rituals practiced by the court. Both groups were deeply religious. However, the Japanese introduced important changes to the Buddhism, which had been brought from China. Some new forms of Buddhism blended elements of Shinto. Other forms were unique to Japan. One very popular form, called Pure Land Buddhism, didn't require any special rituals. Instead, Pure Land Buddhists changed the Buddha's name over and over again to find enlightenment. In the 1100s, a new form of Buddhism called Zen developed. Okay, here we know now what is Zen. Okay, what is the belief here? The Zen Buddhists believed that neither faith nor good behavior led to wisdom. Instead, people should practice self-discipline and meditation, or quiet thinking. We all know what is meditation. We talked this before, okay? And in Buddhism, they focus on meditation too, but and then here they focus on self-discipline and quiet meditation or quiet thinking. These ideas appeal to many Japanese, especially warriors. As these warriors gained more influence to Japan, so did Zen Buddhism. Okay. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you to do your homework, and study the two sections, okay, of Japan. In the second section, we just highlight, or we just focus on the word then, okay, and the first section with the geography and the characters that we have, Prince Shotoko. I will download a video on Prince Shotoko soon after this video. Thank you so much, and see you soon, inshallah.